Okay, Bird. Nope, Bird, you can hold on. Thelxie Development Log 1. Attempted to install a language output module for Thelxie. The output signal will use a similar cipher to the one once used by the House of the Hearth. The benefits are twofold. Not only does the warehouse at the House of Hearth already have many spare old motherboards, this approach will also make the language module compatible with the Diving Helmet's transcription module, allowing for quick and easy transcription and testing. As for the offset of the cipher, it will just be set to 1 for convenience. Okay. Log 2. I've hit a snag. I had planned to apply for a transcription module to use for Thelxie, and it would have been the same one as the one used in the diving helmet, but the warehouse is out of stock. Seems like I'll have to make one from scratch, using the one I have as a reference. I'll start looking into it, but it's unclear if I'll have enough time. So why don't you just wait until they have stock back in? Is it really urgent that you get this commission sorted? Is this where I do the challenge? I'm assuming there's a challenge involved in this, a mini game of some kind. I don't speak Morse code? Braille? I don't know what that's meant to be.
So that's Ferminae's version of Thelxie. It's also penguin-shaped, just like Pear.
Ooh, what is Pear? Oh. Pear is apparently this dude back. Is that the penguin? I don't know. Ferminae's penguin, apparently. Have we ever been introduced to Pear in character in-game? I don't know if we have. It's the first time I swear I'm hearing his name.
Yep. Had Thelxie lived in Penguin Town, he'd probably have become great friends with Pear.
Huh? Penguin Town?
It's not really anywhere famous or important. Don't worry about it.
I'm so confused.
Hey, Thelxie. Nice to meet you. Do you know how to say hello?
It doesn't have a speech module that's functional, Paimon. So can Thelxie talk?
I wanted to install a language output module, but due to time constraints, I had to give up on the idea. As it stands, Thelxie can only output messages that were pre-written into its motherboard. I haven't given him the ability to convert those messages into discernible words, so he can't really talk to us just yet.
So what's the point in him making sounds at all if no one can understand his sounds?
No need to get so technical. So basically, you want us to help you complete and install this language module, right?
No, there's no need. That wasn't one of my employer's requests. It was just something I wanted to try. I have 2 other things I'd like your help with. The first is to do some integration testing on Thelxie's motherboard, to make sure he will be able to function properly in most situations.
That doesn't sound too hard. And what's the other thing?
Well, that depends. We've yet to be told what the function of Thelxie is, right? Have we been told yet what he actually does?
The other
Scare
shouldn't
away
take
fish?
too long either. You'll need to find Thelxie some colorful shells and coral, so I can craft a weapon for him.
Yeah, let's get back to my previous point from an 8. What is Thelxie's purpose that he needs a weapon?
A weapon? Will Thelxie have to fight?
And why does it have to be made out of, like, coral and shells?
Thelxie will need to be able to charge forward with a weapon in hand, like that brave prince of legend. It's a part of my employer's request.
Okay, does it have to be sharp or can it be blunt? You haven't specified, and I'd be afraid to give Thelxie a sharpened sword only to find out he's meant to be a kid's toy to reenact in a kid's play. That could be problematic.
What an imaginative employer. Naming Thelxie after a water imp, but wanting him to look like a prince?
Well, regardless of his role or species, Thelxie's purpose is the same. Just like Pear, he has come to this world to serve as somebody's companion.
Come to this world. He creates him from scratch, but says he's come to this world. Okay.
Whoa, Thelxie just said something again! Could he understand what we were just talking about?
Only if it is in his prescribed output module.
He can react to
Input
certain
module?
key words, but unfortunately, due to the lack of a translation module, He still can't quite communicate with us.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
That's a pity. But anyway, the most important thing right now is for us to get to work. Maybe let's start by doing some testing on the motherboard. That sounds like something we can do here in the camp.
Sounds good. The motherboard is on my workbench, so please follow me. Ah, here we go. I have this testing manual, so feel free to reference it if you get stuck. Want to give it a try? It's okay if you don't succeed immediately. I've got a lot of backup boards just in case.
I'll give it a try even though I don't know what I'm
Okay.
doing.
Knowing you, I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out.
Wow, he just throws you in the deep end, doesn't he? Debug motherboard. Left click and drag to assemble the circuit. Equipable circuit limit 6 of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How am I supposed to get to you in 6? Right click to delete improper circuit. Oh. After completing the circuit, press that to begin operations. Okay. I see. So you get extra bits by dismantling what's already on the board. Okay. Sure. Discuss with Fremine. I am discussing with you.
You're doing well. Just as I expected.
It wasn't exactly difficult.
We've taken on a lot of similar tasks before, you know.
I'm sorry, we what now? We've never done anything of the kind before, I'll have you know.
Then let's move on to the underwater part.
But I want to do more of that.
Just as I mentioned earlier. We're after colorful shells and coral.
Can't you get colorful shells on the beach?
Oh, speaking of which, you're both already pretty used to Fontaine's underwater environment, right?
More or less. What of it?
Okay, that's good. Just let me know if you ever feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure to stay right by your side.
I'm good. Thanks for offering. Go to the body of water Fremine mentioned. I mean body of water. It's all the one bloody body of water. It's called Fontaine. How far away is it? Would it be quicker to go from Limited Harbour? Totally would, right? So unimpressive, Neverlet. I wanted a cool, pretty dive from you, and all I got was a splash and then like a weird spread eagle situation. It was weird.
It should be right over there. We'll be able to find something that'll help us with our... This is it. We call this thing an echoing conch.
Yeah, just let me use it already.
It can detect special...
Hush you.
Did you notice any interesting places? The echoing conch should have detected some just now. Let's go check them out.
Inscribed shell. Oopsies. We still aren't picking this bloody thing up. There we go. Full fathom 5 Thelxie lies. Of his bones a coral made. What did I just read? Oh, you want me to... Yeah! Whoop! Missed that one.
Alright, these should be enough. Let's...
Rip. Is there any other way to get there? Ugh, back the way it came. Hello, Ms. Employer. Or commissioning. Zuria Destry. I could barely hear you. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you. I keep going now that I can hear you. Nope, okay.
Fremine, you're back. I thought you might have been out diving.
I'm sorry, Madame Destray. I must have kept you waiting. I can report, though, that the construction of Thelxie is going quite smoothly.
There's no rush. I'm your employer, not your supervisor. And these two are...
Oh, they're two of my trustworthy companions. They're here to help me work on Thelxie.
Yes, I see. I suppose it's only natural for someone responsible like you to have some reliable friends.
It's really nice to meet you, Madame Destray. Are you Fremine's employer? Paimon is Paimon, and this is the Traveler.
Greetings, my new friends. Just call me Zuria. You are both so adorable. The sight of you reminds me of little fairies under a cottage roof.
Oh, do you really think so?
Sorry, I was totally getting Lisa vibes, but like a less lewd version of Lisa, more like a romantic Lisa. Do I look like a fairy too?
Of course. If my child had friends like you, then perhaps he wouldn't have become so obsessed with the tales of water imps. And I wouldn't have had to trouble Fremine here with this commission.
Is she trying to scare the living daylights out of this child with Thelxie?
Obsessed with the tales of water imps?
We're arming the penguin, remember?
So you don't know anything about my request yet? I would have thought Fremine had explained it to you already.
Come now. Fremine is the soul of discretion.
Well, Fremine told us that it was a private matter, so he didn't want to just share it willy-nilly.
I see. So Monsieur Fremine is even more discreet than I had thought.
Indeed.
As you are assisting him with the project, I believe it'll be beneficial for you to learn more about its vision and history.
I don't disagree.
But it would be quite impolite of me to simply pile all of my troubles on you without your permission. So, would you like to listen to my story?
Someone who asks for consent. This is great. Can I get this in my job? The amount of times you pick up that goddamn phone and people just pile on like, this is my problem, solve it. And I'm like, bro, I can't help you. Just tell me who you want to talk to so I can put you through to someone who can help you. None of those people ask for consent. So thank you, Zuria. You may tell me.
Sure, you can tell us anything. You've already said nice things about us, so we'll try our best to help you get through your troubles.
Ah, what a lovely little fairy. Then let me think of a way to put my situation into words. I'm sure you're already familiar with the tale of the water imps, right?
Well, the way you say that, I'm sure you're already familiar. Well, actually, no. Until 2 seconds ago, I wasn't.
Simply put, parents came up with a story, painting water imps as scary abductors in an effort to convince their children to stay away from
Well,
the
that
water.
much was obvious.
My child is rather special, however.
It's
While
unfortunate
most
for you.
other children are terrified of Thelxie, he's infatuated with him.
Yeah, that's a hard one to solve.
Infatuated? With a water imp? What a brave soul.
Look, Paimon, some people just have these things called kinks.
Yes, he told me that he thought the water imp might have just been misunderstood.
Oh.
In his mind, instead of singing to abduct children, the water imp actually sang out of a longing for companionship. As a result, he often goes near the water in secret.
So you're saying your child is incredibly lonely. Oh.
So he wanted to become friends with the water imp so it wouldn't be lonely any longer? What a unique way of thinking.
It's the kind of thinking that a lonely child would come up with, yes.
Thank you, little Paimon. He indeed has always stood out from the crowd. He was actually diagnosed with loneliness syndrome when he was only 8 years old.
Is that actually a thing? Can you elaborate before I Google?
It's a type of mental disorder. Those affected by it often feel extremely lonely and lose interest in many mundane activities. The syndrome is probably what made him so determined to become friends with the water imp.
Those sound like symptoms of depression. I gotta Google this. Okay. Loneliness syndrome does not exist. Chronic loneliness does, and I felt personally attacked while reading it, can I just say? I think your girl might be suffering from that. But in any case, yes, so loneliness syndrome doesn't exist. Chronic loneliness does, but the fact that her son is only a child, presumably, I find it hard to believe that her son has been diagnosed with chronic loneliness at such a young age. I mean, maybe, yeah, that's the thing that does happen. I mean, I'm not exactly an expert on the subject, having just found out what it was. But it seems like that's kind of the thing you would attain at an older age, because chronic denotes something that is long-term, something that is consistent over a period of time. So it's hard to say that a child can really be diagnosed with chronic loneliness. But again, I'm not a professional. So I guess this is probably just made up for the game since it's not using the correct term. And it doesn't relate to losing interest in mundane activities. That still sounds like depression if you ask me.
Oh no. Is it a very serious disorder?
If you were to become afflicted with the disorder, Paimon, you would only be able to say less than a fraction of the words you're saying to the traveler now.
It's not a speech impairment. What? And it doesn't impact your ability to social. Well, I suppose, again, this is a made-up illness. It's not the actual illness, so maybe it does.
No! Paimon won't accept that!
It's a blessing!
We have to find a doctor to help cure Paimon. Paimon has a 2,000-word quota for daily conversations with the traveler, and she won't settle for a single word less!
Paimon, can you please suffer from loneliness syndrome? That I can hear less from you? Blessing in disguise. Please take that facetiously. It's not a comment or commentary on real-life issues.
The family doctor has already begun to treat my son. But since the disorder is rare, there aren't many good regimens for treatment. He's also developed some new symptoms lately, such as uncontrollable delusions.
Well, I can't speak for this imaginary illness, but if you suffer from chronic loneliness, the internet says that you've just got to try and get yourself out of your bubble. You've got to go socialize more, or put yourself in a position where you can socialize more and meet more people. And they don't mean via social media. They mean actually physically going out and meeting new people and, you know, seeking to put yourself out when you actively socialize, etc., etc. There are plenty of steps to try and work through your chronic loneliness. But as for this interesting controllable delusions, tell me more.
Huh? Uncontrollable what now?
Oh, honey, you know what a delusion is. Child has one.
Uncontrollable delusions. To put it simply, he can no longer differentiate between fantasy and reality, and spends all his time in his fantasy world.
Question. Did his obsession with the water imp come before or after the delusion started?
Then what is he seeing in his fantasy world?
And that seems like some kind of psychosis. Wow. Again, this is made up for the game. It's not real, but wow. That's an epic loneliness.
It's a dream that he often mentioned to me when he was younger. I've compiled what I could understand of his recent rambling.
Oh, he rambles? That's unfortunate.
It goes a bit like this.
Once upon a time, there was a splendid and magnificent underwater kingdom of water imps on the Salacia Plain, 500 feet beneath the surface. Countless lovely water imps lived in houses made of rainbow shells and corals. By God, they must be the smallest houses ever. Tending to sea animals during the day and singing between fields of golden Tidalga? Have we ever had that pronounced audibly in the game? I don't think so. During the night. That's great. Do they ever sleep? It doesn't sound like it. Everyone led carefree and blessed lives until the day of the Iridescence Parade, the important festival during which the new king will be crowned. My word, he has a good creative mind. He should be a writer. Before the festival, all water imps would select the most precious pearl they owned, wrap it in golden branches and leaves. How do you wrap something in branches? They're somewhat rigid, if you ask me. And offer it to the most beloved prince. And during the day of the parade, the prince would cross a rainbow bridge, it's the Bifrost, made from all the offered shells, and accept the crown from his father amid the applause of his subjects. What if they didn't like the prince? Finally, the new king would bless everyone with his well wishes. And as for the prince's name, it's none other than Thalxi. I still maintain it sounds female.
Amazing! Your son came up with all of this? He really crafted a lovely fairy tale world for Thelxie. It's like a beautiful dream.
But perhaps no beautiful dream can ever last long. You see, the story ended with a twist.
Oh? The day of the iridescence parade came as expected, but countless monsters also arrived alongside the prince. The monsters were evil and cruel, and they struck fear. Why does it sound like it's raining? Maybe it is. And they struck fear into all the water imps' hearts. The water imps, adept at singing as they were, could not defend themselves against the monsters, so the kingdom fell. The king was killed, and the water imps were locked behind bars. That's a lot of bars you got. The Wimmer Bridge lost its colour and crumbled away. So what happened to Thelxie? Because I'm assuming you're meaning Thelxie's father there. The prince was barely able to escape with the help of a mysterious masked individual, but he already lost everything and could only spend his days singing mournful songs. And just as the prince sang out of loneliness, so could his song only be heard by similarly lonely children.
How could the story
It is
end
raining.
like this? Is that kind of fantasizing what caused your son to develop his loneliness syndrome?
Well, it'd be more accurate to say that it was the syndrome that caused such terrible delusions to manifest. But in any case, the biggest problem is the patient eventually loses themselves to the fantasy world of their own creation.
Does that essentially mean that they're just going to descend into aphasia? 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 That's what it's called, right? Aphasia? Aphasia? What do you mean?
My poor child can no longer differentiate between imagination and reality. He's begun to see himself as Thelxie.
Oh, I was thinking he'd be the masked individual, but he sees himself as Thelxie, okay.
Perhaps in his mind, the loneliness he felt became the same as that of a prince who lost everything he ever loved or stood for.
I kind of feel like his mother's gone the nuclear option by having, this toy created for whatever end. Has she tried finding friends for her son? I mean, I know that's not something you do. You just go, oh, child, come play with my son. You'll love him immensely. Like, I get that that's not how friendships work. But at his age, surely you can, find some kids and they can just have fun running around and screaming at the top of their lungs as kids are wont to do. Have you tried interacting with other children? Or have you just gone straight from, oh, he's lonely to make me a penguin?
What? So that's what you meant by uncontrollable delusions. Then we have to help him snap out of it.
Oh, that's not how it works, Paimon.
Alas, most of the time he acts as if he can no longer sense or interact with the real world at all.
Dare say you can't.
I've had several discussions with the doctor, and we think it is best to try to guide his fantasy.
You kind of... I suppose I can't cast judgment on the mother because I don't know what method she's taken. I can only act on what I have presented in front of me. But you really should have done the friendship thing before we got to this point. Guide his fantasy?
He once wanted to make a picture book of his imaginary world.
See?
But since the
Could be a
disorder
writer.
progressed
Look,
too
that's an artist.
quickly, he never quite got past the first page of the book.
Define quickly.
If we could use this book as a breakthrough for his condition. Here, you can take a look.
Okay. Cool. First
Suzuria's
page.
son also saw Thelxie as a penguin. Oh, he looks so sad.
You can only see the back of him. He could be smiling, the biggest smile you've ever seen.
What we should do now is help him complete this picture book.
I can't draw.
However, we'll lead the story to a different ending. One where the water imp prince is eventually able to restore his kingdom with the help of his friends.
I swear to God, love it. If you say that I'm going to be his newfound friends, I'm going to hurt you.
We'll need to chase away his loneliness and sorrow and let him perceive a world full of hope again. That's what I mean by guiding his fantasy.
Yeah, I think you need kids his age for this, not me.
But if we just need to finish the picture book, why does Femine need to make a Thelxie as well?
Because we need to treat the book's story seriously, as if it's a history of things that have really happened. We'll need to go on a journey like Thelxie and help him regain his crown and country.
This seems super convoluted.
But my child can no longer go on a journey of his own. This is why I commissioned Femine here to craft a Thelxie, and then I'll paint the journey with this Thelxie into the picture book.
Ah, like a stand-in for your starting to get it now? Oh, you really put a lot of thought into this, Surya. Paimon still has one question, though. Where will we be able to find a Water Imp Kingdom?
There are some ruins on the seabed of the Salacia Plains. I've already asked Fremine to research them for me. We'll be able to use one of the ruins as the kingdom.
Oh, so we'll just need to act out a performance of, a brave journey through the Kingdom of Water Imps. As long as we chase away the monsters in the ruins, it'll count as chasing away the monsters in the Water Imp Kingdom, right?
Sadly, no. We won't just be putting on a performance. It's just as Zuria said. We need to take this seriously. And the only way we can take this seriously is if we choose to believe everything that's happening is real.
I wholeheartedly disagree. And there's no way in hell I would ever be able to believe that everything that's happening is real. Because that's completely illogical.
So we'll be playing it straight? Or, making it a fully immersive experience? Oh, neither of those really sound right. Well, either way, we'll still be able to help, right?
Sure.
It's all right. There's no need to get that serious. It's not a big deal. I believe in my son. We can just see this as him wanting to stay asleep for a bit longer, because he's so enamored with his dream.
Zuria.
Keep your spirits up, everyone. If we were to look troubled, my son is sure to become anxious as well.
Why? He can't see you.
I should be heading back right about now to check on my son.
You just left him? Please tell me he has supervision of some kind.
We temporarily moved to a place on the hill over there, so my son will have a better spot to convalesce. It's not far from the water, and there's also a great view. Feel free to come find me if anything urgent comes up.
Yeah, that doesn't reassure me. Please tell me he has supervision.
Understood. There's also one last thing. Since these two friends were able to help me out, I've made some more progress on Thelxie. I estimate that he should be ready sometime tomorrow.
That's great news. I must thank you all. With that in mind, how about we meet here in 2 days' time to head to the Kingdom of Water Imps?
Can't wait.
All right, everyone. Let's meet again in another 2 days.
Do I get to do a mini
Surya
game before
sure
then?
is a brave and optimistic lady. Fremine, do you think her plan will work out?
Let's discuss that over by the tent. There were a few things that I didn't bring up because the Madame was here.
Why do we have to go to the tent? Is there something wrong with this patch of ground? Why do I need to move us 2 meters this way? It seems highly unnecessary. Oh, is there another log? I've already spent more time than planned on the transcription module. The work on Thelxie's main body will be affected if I keep at this. I'll have to put it on hold. Although the diving helmet can still be used to decipher Thelxie's output signal, it'll probably be unintelligible to everyone else. What a pity. I'm sorry for not being able to give you a voice, Thelxie. I mean, technically you did. It makes sound. It's just unintelligible.